All right, and we're recording. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another exciting CPaaSAA Talks. We are focusing on a handful of our new providers in the Service Provider Playbook that we put out. And today we are lucky to have Mary Clark, Chief Operating Officer at Numeracle with us. Welcome, Mary.
Thanks so much, Robert. Delighted to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and today we are talking about branded calling. So why don't we just get into it? Tell us a little bit about what branded calling is, and what, I've certainly gotten logos and names on my phone, but that's about all I know about it. So give us the details.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. We all get calls all day, from unknown numbers, from numbers that are labeled as spam or scam likely or telemarketer. You just never know what you're going to get. And this has created, obviously, some significant distrust in the market by consumers in answering their devices. We've done some consumer research as well last year that just, the majority of consumers just simply don't answer the call. So what do we need to do here? How do we build more trust back into that voice channel? And for those service providers that are out there that have voice-related services where perhaps you're doing outbound calling or you're facilitating that, branded calling to date has really been, in the United States, the delivery of just the name of the company. So you'll see the name of the company come up. You'll see maybe a province or state and a city perhaps in there, and you'll see the phone number. That has been the majority of what's been considered branded calling in the United States. It's really been provided by three companies that have been assigned that capability by their mobile network operators in the United States: AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And last year, based on some research we've done, we're talking about 3.7 billion calls were placed in that were branded with a logo. I'm sorry, with just the name in the United States in 2024. Now, back in October, CTIA, the Wireless Association here in the United States, has put forward an ecosystem that opens up that opportunity, that allows for branded calling ID to be something that is available to originating service providers, which many of the CPaaSAA members might be, where they're in the line of delivering the call to an end consumer on behalf of an enterprise customer. And this is an open ecosystem, but it's one that has a zero tolerance in terms of any security issue, if you will. We are putting in place an opportunity using agreed to ecosystem level rules, if you will, and roles that are played from first doing a vetting and an annual vetting based on very strict KYC, know your customer related rules that Numeracle was very proud and has been, the forefront and leader of KYC as a part of building trust back into the voice channel. So you have a KYC activity of an enterprise that's up against a certain set of requirements that has to be passed. Then we're onboarding that enterprise and their logo, which is where this becomes new. And there is a secure path of delivery of the call all the way from the originating service provider who takes that logo from the onboarding and vetting agent to the originating service provider and sends it back through. And it lands at the terminating service provider, the mobile network operator. And it has to have a specific certificate with it that is also just unique to the ecosystem. And as long as it has that certificate and it has the data present, it'll be delivered to that consumer. So no spoofing is capable, and you're delivering a logo, which is pretty nifty. You're delivering the name of the company. You're delivering the call reason as well. Why are they calling? Which is entirely new, right? I mean, if we really knew, had a little message there. Okay, it's Home Depot, but they're going to call about the delivery, or they're calling. It's just the ability to have much more insight in a secure way to really change the experience that consumer has, that enterprise is trying to reach. So branded calling ID and that ecosystem just launched in October, and we are an authorized vetting and onboarding agent for that. And we're looking to enable folks that are, service providers to say, okay, take the onboarding and vetting related services that we provide, match them up to your voice outbound services that you might have, and turn around and add that as a almost turnkey related service. There is some work to be done. There's always work to be done, right? But there's some work to be done in the OSP side that relates to adjusting some of the we are leveraging a portion of, I hate to even say the word, I'm sorry, stir shaken. There is some change to that. You have to get a new certificate from an SDIGA CA point of view. But as we think about that, you put the 3.7 billion in context, right? And say you use a 10 cents a call, and there is an onboarding and vetting fee that could be attached to this. You're talking about maybe 2,000 calls for $2,000 a month for 1,000 calls that are outbound for one of your enterprise customers. There's additional fees that could be put on top of that. This is another revenue opportunity. It is a completely new service. So, you're thinking new SKU, you're thinking new opportunities.
Yeah.
So we're all about enabling these service providers to folks such as KPaaSAA members to add this to the portfolio. Here's a new tool in the toolkit, to sell into the enterprise that they are currently serving as new enterprises.
Yeah. It's very cool. So just thinking about the consumer impact, I get, I stopped counting how many calls I get a day, and I literally only answer anything from my family members. But I was just talking with a family member yesterday, and she was expecting a call from her doctor for a pre-op procedure.
Yeah.
And she almost did not take the call because it came in and it looked like just any other spam call. So what I'm hearing here is that with branded calling, the doctor's office could make sure that their call gets completed, that the patients are getting what they need, and there's less of a concern around fraud or spam or things like that on the consumer side.
That's right. And what we're finding in this particular model, branded calling, as I referred to, sort of what we'll talk about is the previous generation, is capable of being spoofed. And that was just not, we have zero tolerance for that into this new BCID. And that's really the acronym. If you hear anybody talking about it, for your listeners, branded calling ID is the term of art and the acronym that really references this new ecosystem that's being put forward, that we want to get as many service providers into this as we possibly can, so that we are reaching the broadest set of enterprises, so that they are confident that they're sending a call across a path that can't be spoofed, that's not relying on possibly CNAM to put the right name on, which is just not a solution anymore for any kind of guarantee of identity, and really put you in a position to have that really enriched experience. There's some still catch up. It's interesting, the handset providers are in kind of different places right now. Like if you were to send a call with a logo through this ecosystem today on a Samsung device, the logo comes out in a circle on the main part of the screen. You see the name, you see the call reason. But for example, on the Apple right now, it's still just the logo and the name of the company, but you don't get the call reason. So, and it's very small. So we're still seeing, some catch up today. T-Mobile is the only provider that's signed up to participate in this, but we expect Verizon to be coming on board here very soon, and then we'll see what AT&T does down the road. But for me, what I've learned so much about this is, we have to, particularly for companies that are really driving to ensure that there is confidence. When you think about the financial services industry and you think about the healthcare industry and those enterprise customers that are out there that are just, they have had their customers scammed, right? And they're clamoring for a solution that they can turn around and say, this is secure. This is not going to be something that is going to further exacerbate my challenges, because you do have people out there just pretending through devices and through outbound numbers, and particularly with AI. This is an AI fraud prevention method, which is, how many things can you say that about today, right? So
yeah,
it's remarkable.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out. We really appreciate Numeracle being a vocal part of the security and trust working group at KPaaSAA. Things like these are absolutely crucial. We know there's tons of fraud, an utter lack of trust, oftentimes in calls and communications that are coming across. So this is a huge step in the
Yeah.
right direction. And I think what I hear you saying is it's still a work in progress, but if you hop on board now, those things are coming and you'll start to see more and more benefits and impact from those things as the industry continues to move forward.
Very much so. What I would say to any service provider that's probably sitting there thinking, well, wait, I should wait until all three service providers are on. Don't think about it that way. Think about it from your enterprise customer's point of view, which is every call that can be delivered that perhaps ends up on a T-Mobile device for now, that consumer is having the best possible experience.
Yeah,
So what's, the level of, at what point is that level of experience not worth it? It's worth it, particularly if it's going to have the answer, right? The answer rate just simply goes up with the branded calling experience. We've definitely done some research. I definitely want to urge people to go to the numeracle.com website. We have a banner up there if you'd like to learn more about how to resell the components that I've referenced for the BCID ecosystem of Numeracles. But we believe strongly that every call that can be delivered in the most secure way possible with all of this richness as a part of it is worth it, even if it's just one consumer out of three.
for sure. For sure.
And so the only thing you can do on top of that is, in the meantime, just make sure that, to the extent number reputation management can help you avoid having mislabeling occur, we would say, if you can't have that kind of delivery, then at least make sure it's not being labeled inappropriately. So, you can always come to Numeracle for that,
Yeah.
and add that to your service delivery as well. We enable a number of service providers for that. So we want to make trust and the just the comfort of the consumer increase in answering the call.
Yeah.
And if we can help service providers get to that and add that to their portfolio, whether it's number reputation management, BCID, or both, we really want to help do that.
Yeah, and just thinking from a service provider perspective,
Yes.
if you've got a customer that's putting 1,000 calls out a day,
Mhm.
and you mentioned 10 cents a call, so
Sure. Somewhere in that range. Yeah.
over the course of a month, probably $2,000 in additional revenue on the service provider side. And if you think about the enterprise trying to make a decision, is it worth the investment? If you think about an average, if you think about an average doctor's visit being several $100s, it doesn't take many additional visits to make up and for that solution to pay for itself.
That's exactly right. And I mean, when you start doing that math for the enterprise and for them to see the return, it's material.
Yep.
It's material. And the revenue to the service provider can really grow. I think and the 10 cents is just, I would almost describe it as that's been a historical price that's been out there in the market for a little while, but that's really just in the context of just putting the name on the device.
Yeah.
So, there's options out there, and I think, and we're looking at what's the opportunity to take the vetting that we're doing and apply it to the outbound text that needs to be placed, right? Because that's the other aspect, and in so many instances now, outbound calling is becoming so prevalent because of the change in and the adoption of really, you call and it's too long and they're going to call you back. Well, how do you know who's calling you back? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
when you think of all of the different ways in which a call center and outbound calling, the manifestation of that and the ways in which they're applied in different use cases, having that assurance that you're putting your best foot forward to have that phone call answered and know that you're doing all you can to give comfort to that consumer that, yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super exciting. I'm sure we're going to hear plenty more about it.
Yeah, I'm going to rail on and on about it for a while. It's going to be my guess, Robert.
And so listeners and watchers actually can visit numeracle.com to learn more. But you guys will also be on the road. I know we'll see you in Barcelona at MWC. We'll see you in Orlando at Enterprise Connect, channel partners, CCA. I'm sure the list goes on and on. But
Mobile Ecosystem Forum will be at a lot of the MEF events, absolutely, and CTI events will be at all of them. So
Awesome.
absolutely.
All right. Well, Mary, great to see you as always. Thanks for
Thanks so much,
hopping
Robert.
on.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.